In the 5th year of my marriage to Olivia, she hired a recent college grad, a guy she knew from school, as the company's new vice president. Suddenly, I was branded a freeloader, a kept man, and had a glass of red wine poured over my head in front of everyone. He looked at me with contempt. I hear you've been married to Olivia for 5 years and have nothing to show for it, just coasting and collecting a paycheck here. I've seen plenty of freeloaders like you, thinking you can hit the jackpot just by latching on to someone successful. Olivia might be generous enough to tolerate you, but I have a zero-tolerance policy for slackers. As of today, you're fired. Fired? How could I be fired from my own company? I froze for a second, my head instinctively turning to look at Olivia. She hesitated for only a moment before walking over to me and whispering, "Ethan doesn't know what you've contributed to the company." He was a little harsh, so please don't take it personally. Besides, you've worked so hard for the company all these years. It might be good for you to go home and rest for a while. I was stunned again, staring at Olivia in disbelief. After a moment of silence, I nodded. All right, I just wondered if the company could even last a week without me. At the dinner celebrating Ethan Vance's appointment as vice president, he first delivered a fiery inaugural speech, then continued with a pointed message. I'm the kind of person who has a zero-tolerance policy for nonsense. Anyone who's been coasting, slacking off, and not pulling their weight will be cleaned out one by one. This company has no room for dead weight. As he finished, his eyes landed directly on me. Everyone in the room followed his gaze, their eyes shifting from me back to Ethan with a strange look on all their faces. They all knew I had provided the seed money to start this company. I was the one who brought in every single business partner. Even though Olivia was the president, I was the one holding the real power behind the scenes. Without me, this company wouldn't exist. Making a move against me was like ripping the company out by its roots. Seeing how tense the room had become, Olivia quickly jumped in, smiling to smooth things over. Our new VP's words may have been a bit strong, but his intentions are good. He just wants everyone to be dedicated to their roles so we can all grow this company together. Come on, Olivia raised her glass. Let's all raise a glass to our new VP, Ethan, and to the new heights the company will reach under his leadership. Everyone politely lifted their glasses. I was the only one who didn't move. Olivia's eyes immediately shot to me, pleading. I sighed and expressionlessly raised my glass. Hold on, there's one more thing, Ethan said, cutting in. He walked over to me, glass in hand. Mr. Harrison, I understand you've been the sales manager for 5 years, yet you've never once taken the initiative to schedule a dinner or drinks with our partners. Do you have an explanation for that? An explanation? There was no explanation because none was needed. I stared at Ethan coolly. As the heir to the Harrison family, with business interests spanning the entire country, people came to me begging for partnerships, not the other way around. There were people in this world I would personally invite out, but the clients of this small company weren't among them. Seeing my silence, Ethan's eyes narrowed. Mr. Harrison, I'm talking to you. Why aren't you answering? I turned my head to look at Olivia. I'm talking to you. Why are you looking at the president? Ethan snapped. Olivia may be willing to overlook your behavior, but as I just said, I don't tolerate slackers. In my book, what you're doing is the definition of being dead weight, of not pulling your own. My first instinct was to fire you on the spot. But since it's my first day, and our president felt I was being a bit harsh, I'll let that slide. Instead, I'll just give you a little slap on the wrist as a warning for the future. With that, Ethan lifted his glass over my head, tilted his wrist, and poured the entire glass of red wine down over me. The wine streamed down my hair, dripped all over my face, and soaked my shirt. That's your punishment, Ethan declared, casually tossing the empty glass behind him with an air of triumph. The entire room fell silent. I stared at Ethan, my eyes like ice. In my entire life, I had never been humiliated like this. Honey, Olivia cried out, gathering her dress as she rushed to my side, pulling out a napkin to wipe the wine from my face. For Olivia's sake, I took a deep breath and tried to keep my cool. She was the one who hired him, after all, and it would reflect badly on her if I made a scene. But I never expected Ethan to double down. He pointed a finger at me and sneered. Lucas, I see Olivia has spoiled you rotten. Can't you even wipe your own face? You need her to do it for you? It just shows how useless you are. You probably just take and take, never giving anything back. It's because of deadweight like you that this company can't get to the next level. Hearing this, Olivia's expression hardened. Ethan, stop talking nonsense. There are things you don't understand. Olivia. Ethan's eyes reddened as he looked at her, hurt. Why are you still defending him? What has he ever done for this company? Everything I'm doing is for the good of the company. Olivia rubbed her temples, looking pained. Ethan, it's complicated, and I can't explain it all right now. I'll tell you about it when I get the chance. Fine, Ethan said, gritting his teeth. Since you're so determined to protect him today, then I'll just leave. I quit. I don't want to be the VP of this company anymore. With that, Ethan turned on his heel to walk away. I assumed Olivia wouldn't stop him. I was her husband, the silent power behind the entire operation. She had to know which of us was more important. But to my shock, she grabbed Ethan's arm without a second's hesitation, coaxing him. All right, it was my fault. I am sorry. Ethan immediately puffed his chest out again, back to his arrogant self. He pointed at me. Then what about him? Olivia hesitated for a moment, then turned to me. Honey, why don't you just apologize to Ethan? He doesn't mean any harm. He's just trying to help the company. I stared at Olivia, stunned, unable to believe what I had just heard. He was trying to help the company, and I wasn't? For years, I had put off inheriting the Harrison family empire to work here as her sales manager. I used my family's connections to bring in one massive deal after another. Yet today, after Ethan poured wine on my head in front of everyone, not only did she not defend me, she was asking me to apologize to him. Well, my 5 years of sacrifice. Was it all just a joke? Honey, Olivia said again, her eyes begging me. Seeing her expression, even though I was in agony, I nodded. I did it because I loved her. I would rather be humiliated myself than see her lose face. I'm sorry, Mr. Vance. I'll be sure to work harder for the company from now on. I practically had to force the words out. My hands at my sides were clenched so tightly my knuckles were white. Umph. Ethan grunted, looking as proud as a peacock who had just won a major battle. Since you've admitted you were wrong, I'll give you one more chance. Report to my office tomorrow morning. I have a new assignment for you. I figured the worst he could do was transfer me to logistics or some other department where I wouldn't be in charge of sales anymore. I never imagined he would demote me all the way to the bottom, making me an entry-level salesman. Lucas, you're nothing but a freeloader. Without Olivia, you're nobody. Today, I'm going to show you that you can't accomplish a single thing or earn a single dollar on your own. Ethan leaned back in the executive chair behind his desk, looking down on me with undisguised contempt. After his speech, he had someone bring in a box filled with 1,000 flyers. The company is launching a new product. Your job today is to hand out all 1,000 of these. Fail, and you're gone for good. I glanced at the stacks of paper in front of me, then looked up at Ethan. And if I succeed? I asked coldly. Succeed? Ethan scoffed. Then it just proves you're not a complete waste of space. But I'm warning you, don't try anything clever. I'll have people watching you. Clever tricks? I didn't need any. As the heir to the Harrison fortune, I'd been learning about business since I was a kid. Handing out flyers was basic. 1,000 of them might seem like a lot, but if you knew what you were doing, it wasn't hard to get them all out in a day. By the time I left Ethan's office, news of my new job had already spread through the entire company. A few of the top salespeople I had personally mentored and promoted came to find me, and they were all furious. This is outrageous. Who does he think he is? I'm going to go give him a piece of my mind. I'm coming with you. What's the point? We should go to Olivia. Everyone knows he only acts this way because she lets him. He's right. Let's go talk to the president. I quickly stopped them. Olivia had come down with a cold last night and wasn't feeling well this morning. I didn't want to bother her with something so trivial. It's just handing out flyers. I can handle it. You all get back to work. In my opinion, Ethan's petty power plays were beneath my notice. But I never thought he would actually have someone take a video of me handing out flyers and post it on TikTok. The caption read, "If you're going to be a kept man, you should at least know how hard it is to earn a living." The comment section was filled with people tearing me apart. So he's just a freeloader. What a waste of a handsome face. Wow, a grown man living off a woman. Pathetic. He's a disgrace. He deserves this. Someone needs to teach him his place and show him that being a kept man isn't so easy. The post got so much attention, it quickly started trending on Twitter. My phone started blowing up with calls from my parents, friends, and the CEOs of several companies that were desperate to partner with me. I was completely blindsided. I had no idea what was going on. It took a lot of effort to calm everyone down and explain. Then I immediately pulled out my phone, went to Twitter, and saw the top trending post. Freeloader gets what he deserves. I was so furious, I nearly shattered my phone in my hand. I let Ethan get away with so much for Olivia's sake, but he seemed to think he was untouchable as long as she was around. Just then, my phone rang. It was Olivia, her voice thick and nasal from her cold. "Honey, I'm so sorry on Ethan's behalf. He doesn't know the whole story, so please don't stoop to his level. I'll have the post taken down right away." I felt a pang of sympathy that she had to deal with this while she was sick, so I managed to swallow my anger. "This is the last time," I said, taking a deep breath. "Tell him to back off." But the very next day, Ethan tried to have me fired, claiming I had damaged the company's reputation. Fire me? I let out a cold laugh, as if I just heard the funniest joke in the world. If you hadn't sent someone to film me and post it online, calling me a freeloader, how would the company's image have been damaged? You're the one responsible. If anyone's getting fired, it should be you. Ethan slammed his hand on the desk. "Lucas, you're nothing but an entry-level salesman. Who do you think you are, talking to me like that? Have you no respect for authority?" I laughed in disbelief. Him, talking to me about authority? The nerve. Just then, Olivia walked into the office. After getting the gist of the situation, she frowned at Ethan. "Ethan, you don't have all the facts. Don't make decisions like this." Ethan's eyes instantly welled up. "Olivia, I'm just trying to do what's best for the company." He pointed at me. "What's so great about him? He's just a freeloader. Why do you always protect him? I'm telling you right now, without him, I can take this company to the next level." I scoffed at his words and turned to Olivia. "For your sake, I let it slide before. I told you to keep him in line, and this is the result." "Olivia, I need a straight answer from you right now. Is it me, or is it him?" As soon as the words left my mouth, Olivia's brow furrowed in annoyance. "Honey, Ethan is just a kid who just graduated from college. He doesn't understand how things work here. Do you really have to pick a fight with him? Can't you be a little more understanding?" I stared at her, completely incredulous. I wasn't being understanding. He poured a glass of wine over my head in front of everyone, and I let it go. He made me hand out flyers, filmed it, and posted it online to call me a freeloader, and I let that go too. How much more understanding was I supposed to be? Did I need to applaud him for firing me from my own company to prove I was tolerant enough? Seeing the look on my face, Olivia turned away, unable to meet my eyes. Her silence only fueled Ethan's arrogance. "Lucas, Olivia is only putting up with you because you're married. Don't push it," he sneered. "A freeloader like you, daring to force her to choose? Fine, I'll make you understand exactly who you are today." With that, Ethan walked over to Olivia's side. "Olivia, I'll say it too. It's either me or him. You choose." Olivia looked from my cold, impassive face to Ethan's, who was glaring at me with fury. She decisively sided with Ethan. "Honey," she said to me, "why don't you take some time off?" Her words hit me so hard I physically staggered. Stunned, I could only think, "You really want me to leave? You might not know how important I am to this company, but you do." Olivia finally snapped, her voice rising in a frustrated shout. "What do you want me to do? You're important, but he's one of my oldest friends from school. He's important too. I'm just one person. I can only choose one of you." And so, she had chosen him. In that moment, something clicked into place for me. After a brief silence, I nodded. "Fine, I'll go." Olivia looked startled, opening her mouth as if to say something, but ultimately, she said nothing at all. Ethan moved closer to Olivia, practically pressing against her, a triumphant and contemptuous look in his eyes as he stared at me. "You heard her, freeloader. Get lost." I gave Olivia one last long look, then turned and walked away. Just as I stepped out of the building, my phone buzzed with an iMessage from her. "Honey, I was just angry. I didn't mean it." Please try to understand. I'm stuck in the middle and it's so hard. Just go home and rest. Once I calm Ethan down, I'll come home tonight and make it up to you. Anything you want." I laughed. I was her husband, but she had to placate another man before she could even think about making things right with me. If it was so difficult for her to choose, then I would make it easy. I pulled out my phone and called my family's estate manager. "Send a car for me and cancel every single partnership connected to this company, effective immediately. Also, have the lawyers draw up divorce papers." I had just hung up when I heard a flurry of footsteps rushing up behind me. It was the company's department heads. "Mr. Harrison, you can't leave." "That's right. This company only exists because of you. If you go, the whole thing will collapse. Please come back with us. We'll go talk to President Miller." "Yes, let's go to Olivia." She must have lost her mind, letting some kid fresh out of college run wild as VP. Listening to them, seeing the panic on their faces, I felt a mix of bitterness and validation. Even they knew the company couldn't survive without me. Yet Olivia, my own wife, the person who slept beside me every night, knew it too and simply didn't care. 5 years of my life, all for nothing. She didn't deserve my love. "Everyone," I began, but was cut off by the sight of Olivia running toward us, dragging Ethan by the hand. "Honey, I just heard. All of our partners are pulling their contracts. You have to do something quickly." My face remained calm, but the managers around me erupted in panic. "What? President Miller, is that true? This is a catastrophe. Without those partners, we can't sell a single product. Did you call them? Did you ask why? They can't all just pull out for no reason." Olivia was a complete mess, in no state to answer their questions. She just looked at me desperately. "Honey, please call our partners. You know they'll listen to you." My gaze fell on her hand, still tightly clasped in Ethan's. A sharp pain went through me, and I looked her straight in the eye. "You're asking the wrong person. I've been fired, remember? I have nothing to do with this company anymore." Olivia froze, staring at me in stunned silence. The department heads exchanged a look, a sudden understanding dawning on all of them. One spoke up. "President Miller, this was a terrible mistake. Mr. Harrison has poured his heart and soul into this company for 5 years. You can't just fire him." "The official announcement hasn't gone out yet," another added. "Bring him back. Reinstate him as sales manager. There's still time to fix this before the news gets out and we lose everything. Please, President Miller, hurry." Olivia opened her mouth to speak, but Ethan cut her off. "What is the meaning of this? Firing Lucas was my decision. Are you questioning the authority of your vice president?" At his words, the expression on every manager's face soured. They all glared at Ethan with open displeasure. Olivia frantically tugged on his arm, trying to get him to shut up, but Ethan completely ignored her, turning on Olivia instead. "Olivia, this is your fault for being too soft. This is your company, and these people work for you, but you've let them walk all over you. It's absolute chaos, and it's because you allowed it." Olivia's face went pale, clearly shocked that Ethan would dare to publicly reprimand her. He, however, didn't notice her expression and continued his grandstanding speech. "As vice president, I have a responsibility to this company. People like them and Lucas are parasites. They're leeches sucking this company dry. And now that we're facing a crisis, what do? These managers, with their high salaries, instead of try to solve the problem themselves, they pin all their hopes on a man I just fired. It's pathetic." At this, everyone, including Olivia, looked absolutely livid. I was the only one who watched him with amusement. "So, you're saying you can solve this crisis?" "Of course," Ethan declared proudly. "Nothing's impossible. If you're determined, there's always a solution. All we have to do is talk to the partners with sincerity, and I'm sure they'll agree to continue working with us." I had a laugh. He really was just a naive kid fresh out of college. If sincerity was all it took to solve the world's problems, life would be a lot simpler. "Wow, our VP is so impressive," one of the managers said sarcastically. "Yes, truly amazing," another chimed in. "Well, since our VP is so confident, we'll leave this in his capable hands. We'll be waiting to hear the good news and celebrate your success, Mr. Vance. The managers all started clapping, their eyes filled with mockery. Ethan beamed, completely oblivious. I turned to Olivia. You heard him. He's confident he can handle it. They don't need me. Olivia started to say, but Ethan cut her off. Olivia, I already said I can handle it. Stop dithering. Let's go. Take me to meet with these partners. Olivia was furious now. She snapped at him. Stop making promises when you don't know what you're talking about. This is not something you can fix. Now apologize to these managers. What you said was completely out of line. Apologize to them? Ethan stared at her, his eyes wide with disbelief. They're the parasites. Why on earth should I apologize to them? You. Olivia pointed a trembling finger at him, her whole body shaking with rage. Olivia, I will prove to you that I'm right, he declared. He shot a final, dismissive glare at me, and the managers snorted and stormed off. I could see Olivia wanted to run after him, but she stopped herself and turned to me instead. Honey, Ethan is just being immature. Do you have to escalate this? We poured 5 years of our lives into this company. Are you really going to just let it die? She was still blaming me. After everything, she was blaming me. Was I the one picking a fight? I had been more than patient. My expression hardened. Olivia, you know exactly who is at fault here. But he's just so young, she pleaded. I scoffed. Young? He wasn't a toddler. He was a grown man with a college degree. Adults have to take responsibility for their actions. That applied to him, and it applied to her. Olivia, I think you should have more faith in Ethan. Since he's so sure he can fix this, you should give him a chance to prove it. Anyway, that's all I have to say. If there's nothing else, I'm going home to get some rest. After all, you're the one who said I've been working too hard these past 5 years and deserve a break. Before Olivia could respond, I gave a small wave and walked away. I hadn't been home long when the doorbell rang. A man in a tailored black suit stood on the doorstep. Sir, the divorce papers you requested. Thank you. I nodded, took the envelope, and dismissed him with a wave. I sat down on the sofa and spread the papers out on the coffee table. Staring at them, I found my mind drifting back over the last 5 years with Olivia. I first saw her at my college graduation ceremony. She was the MC for the event. She was wearing a slim, elegant evening gown, and she carried herself with such grace. I was so captivated that I don't remember a single thing that happened that night besides her. Since I was graduating, I didn't try to find out more about her, even though I was interested. But a year later, I was invited back to the university to give a speech as a distinguished alumnus, and I saw her again. She was the MC again. I can still clearly remember the look in her eyes that night. It was pure admiration. Lucas, you're incredible, she'd said. Starting her own brand just 1 year out of college. Are you free tonight? I'd love to take you to dinner. I want to pick your brain because my biggest dream is to have my own company. I joked with her. And if someone made that dream come true for you, what would you be willing to give in return? Anything, she answered without a moment's hesitation, her voice firm. I looked at her for a long moment, but didn't say anything else. We had dinner that night, and she told me why she was so desperate to have her own company. She was a middle child with an older sister and a younger brother, and she always felt like the one who was overlooked. She said her whole life she was the one everyone ordered around. Her parents, her sister, even her younger brother. I'm sick of it, she told me. I don't want anyone telling me what to do ever again. That's why I need my own company, so I can be the boss. I told her being the boss wasn't as easy as it sounded, that it could be even harder than being an employee. I asked if she was prepared for that. I can handle it, she said, her voice just as firm and unwavering as before. I slowly nodded. The year she graduated, I made her dream come true. I gave her a company. Her jaw dropped, and she stared at me for a long time before turning to ask me a very serious question. Lucas, are you looking for someone to keep your bed warm? I thought she was joking. Even though I'd helped her and I liked her, I never expected anything in return. But I never expected Olivia to be serious. That very night, she slipped into my bed completely naked. I was in my early 20s, full of life and energy. I couldn't possibly resist that kind of temptation. After we slept together, and because I already cared for her, I wanted to make it official. I took her to the courthouse that very day and we got married. After that, I closed down my own startup, put my inheritance on hold, and went to work at her company as a sales manager, using my network and my family's influence to help her build the business from the ground up. The more I invested, the deeper my love for her grew. I had been planning to take her home to meet my parents this year. Once they accepted her, she would officially be a Harrison. Even without me by her side, almost everyone in the business world would have to show her respect. I was even prepared to fight my own parents for her. But in the end, I had given my heart to the wrong person. I kept asking myself, did she ever really love me? Did she love me? Or did she love my money and my influence? Deep down, I already knew the answer, but I refused to believe it. I couldn't accept that the woman I had spent 5 years with loved my status, not me. 5 years to figure it out. I muttered with a bitter laugh. I'm a real failure. I gathered the divorce papers from the table, one page at a time. Just then, the door opened. Olivia walked in, dragging a very reluctant Ethan behind her. She didn't notice the papers next to me on the sofa. She just frowned at Ethan and said, "Apologize." Now, Ethan's face instantly flushed red. "Now," Olivia demanded, stomping her foot. "I'm sorry," Ethan yelled, squeezing his eyes shut, turning what should have been an apology into a declaration of war. Olivia sat down next to me, wrapping her arm affectionately around mine. "Honey, see? Ethan apologized. Please just forgive him." I smiled. "Oh no, I'm just a parasite. I'm not worthy of an apology from the great Mr. Vance." At my words, Ethan's face went from red to purple. He gritted his teeth, his expression so savage he looked like he wanted to rip me to shreds. Olivia shot him a warning glare. Then she wrapped her arms around my neck, trying to be playful. "Honey, Ethan knows he was wrong now. I told him how important you are to the company. He's truly sorry, he really is." Truly sorry? I almost laughed out loud. Did any part of that performance look sincere to her? I said, "He's the vice president, and I'm just an unemployed nobody he fired. Why would he apologize to me? He should be spending his time trying to save the company." Speaking of which, how did your meetings with the partners go this afternoon? My question made Olivia's expression turn cold. "Honey, are you ever going to let this go?" "Let it go. I'm just a fired employee. You're the president, and he's the VP. I wouldn't dare give either of you any trouble. If you ask me, you shouldn't have even come back here. You should be talking to the partners. Maybe you could still work something out." Hearing this, Olivia's frown deepened, her face clouding over. "Honey, I can't believe you're making such a big deal out of this. You never used to be like this. And you?" I asked, looking at her calmly. "You never used to treat me this way." She opened her mouth, but no words came out. "Enough!" Ethan suddenly yelled, his eyes locked on me. "Lucas, what I do have to question is Olivia. All I did was fire you, and in return you try to bankrupt the company? You're petty and pathetic. You're not a man. You're only acting tough because of your family." He spat. "Without the Harrisons, you'd be nothing." I smiled and nodded. "You're right. But don't forget, being born well is a talent in itself. That's enough. Stop it." Olivia cut Ethan off, her face grim. She took a deep breath and squeezed my hand. "Honey, 5 years have passed, and we've both changed. Can we please not focus on who's right or wrong right now? You've given so much to this company. Are you really just going to watch it burn to the ground?" I shook my head. "I won't watch it burn, because I'll be gone. I'm leaving this house, and I'm leaving this city." At my words, the color drained from Olivia's face. "Honey," she stammered, "what do you mean you're leaving?" I picked up the papers from the sofa. "Sign them. I don't regret our 5 years together, Olivia. Let's just end this peacefully." Her hand trembled as she took the documents from me. She only glanced at the first page before she started shaking so badly I thought she might faint. "Olivia!" Ethan rushed to steady her, then turned and roared at me. "Lucas, are you a man at all? I was the one who demoted you. I was the one who fired you. If you're angry, be angry with me. What does this have to do with her? Don't you have any idea how much she loves you? Are you done?" I asked calmly. "If so, please leave. I need to rest." "You," Ethan scoffed. "Olivia, let's go. A man who would divorce you over something so small doesn't deserve your love." Ethan tried to pull Olivia toward the door, but she shoved him away forcefully. "Olivia," he said, completely bewildered. Olivia's voice was ice. This is my home. You're the one who needs to leave. Her words seemed to trigger something in him. He roared, his face contorted with rage. Olivia, wake up. He's divorcing you. He doesn't love you anymore. A flicker of pain crossed Olivia's eyes at his words, but it was quickly replaced by that same icy coldness. That's between my husband and me. It has nothing to do with an outsider like you. Now, as the lady of this house, I am asking you to leave immediately. Ethan was shaking with fury. Fine, I'll go. I just hope you don't regret this, Olivia. Your life with a man like him is going to be miserable. I spoke quietly. I don't know about her future, but I know your miserable days are about to begin. Is that a threat? Ethan sneered. Lucas, don't think you're invincible just because you have a little money. There are plenty of problems in this world that money can't solve. I just smiled and said nothing. He was right. There are many problems money can't solve. He just wasn't one of them. After Ethan left, Olivia stood up from the sofa, walked over, and dropped to her knees in front of me. I frowned. What are you doing? She looked up, her face streaked with tears. Honey, I was wrong, she sobbed. I froze, a heavy feeling settling in my chest. In the 5 years we'd been together, I had protected her so well that I had never once seen her cry. When I didn't say anything, she grabbed my hand. Honey, please forgive me. I listened to Ethan and I wanted to prove that I could make the company successful all by myself. So that was it. The final piece of the puzzle clicked into place. I had been wondering how Olivia, who was so smart, could have possibly thought Ethan was more important to the company than I was. Now I understood. It wasn't just about proving herself. It was ambition. She wanted to be free of me, to cast me aside. People really do change. Once, all she wanted was her own company. Once she had it, it was no longer enough. I had underestimated her ambition, and I had overestimated our love. Olivia, there are things I could say that I don't want to, and you wouldn't want to hear. I'll make a call tomorrow. The partners will reinstate their contracts. Consider it a final gift, a way to close the book on our 5 years together. Honey, Olivia started to say more, but I cut her off, pushing the divorce papers back toward her. Sign them, before I change my mind. Olivia was sobbing too hard to speak. With a trembling hand, she picked up the pen and signed her name. The moment she finished, she collapsed onto the table, breaking down into loud, heart-wrenching sobs. I hesitated for a moment, then gently patted her shoulder before taking the signed papers and walking out the door. The next day, Olivia and I went to the courthouse and finalized our divorce. As we stepped out of the courthouse, a black Rolls-Royce pulled up to the curb in front of me. 2 men in dark suits got out. Mr. Harrison, we're here to take you home. All right, I nodded, then turned to look at Olivia. I could see the regret in her eyes, the sorrow, the pain. And in that moment, I knew for certain that she had loved me in her own way. It was just that she loved herself and her ambition more. I sighed as I turned to get into the car. Ethan came storming toward us. The 2 bodyguards immediately blocked his path, and he started screaming at me. Did you send those people after me, you bastard? My expression remained calm as I gave a quiet order to one of the men. Slap him. With a loud crack, one of the bodyguards swung his arm and hit Ethan so hard he spun around 3 times before stumbling, his cheek already swelling. I walked over to him and said quietly, I told you last night. Your miserable days were about to begin. Ethan's eyes went red with fury. You son of a bitch. I'll kill you. The 2 bodyguards held him fast. I suddenly lost interest, waving my hand dismissively like I was shooing away a fly. Get him out of here. I never want to see him again. Ethan struggled wildly. Let me go, you bastards. His eyes fell on Olivia, standing frozen nearby. Olivia, help me, he screamed. Her only response was a cold, empty stare. A look of despair washed over Ethan's face as the bodyguards began to drag him away. You 2 deserve each other, he screamed, struggling against them. Both of you. Lucas, what are you going to do to me? You'd better let me go, or I swear I'll make you pay. I had to laugh. Make me pay? I was sorry to say he didn't have a future to do it in. Last night, I had made a single phone call. Overnight, All of Ethan's dirty laundry had been aired online. Cheating on his girlfriend, academic fraud on his thesis, bribing a professor to pass his final defense. His university had already rescinded his degree, and he was being destroyed online. No company would ever hire him. He would be lucky if he could even support himself. And I was the heir to the Harrison empire. On what grounds did he think he could ever touch me? If it hadn't been for Olivia, I never would have given him a second thought. To me, he was nothing more than a stray dog barking on the side of the road. After they dragged Ethan away, Olivia walked slowly toward me, each step a monumental effort. "Will I ever see you again?" she asked. I looked at her. In just one night, new lines had appeared around her eyes. Her face was pale, her expression utterly exhausted. "I think it would be better if we didn't," I said gently. "Don't you?" She gave a bitter smile. "Yes, better if we don't." Then she pulled 2 polished meditation balls from her pocket. "Please give these to your father for me." Then she took a ticket for a Broadway show from her purse. "And this is for your mother." I was stunned. Before I could say anything, Olivia had slipped into a waiting taxi and was gone. So she knew, I thought, looking down at the gifts in my hand with a heavy heart. I had told her once, a long time ago, that my father collected things like this and that my mother loved the theater. I thought about how, if it weren't for Ethan, we would probably be on our way to my parents' house right now. But there are no if-onlys in life. When I got home, I gave the gifts to my parents, telling them they were from me. My mother gushed, "Oh, Lucas, how thoughtful." My father just said, "These are nice," but the slight smile on his face gave him away. After that, I joined the Harrison Group and began learning how to manage the vast enterprise, preparing to formally take over the family business. Every year in February, a letter would arrive for me. It was never signed, but I always knew who it was from. February was our wedding anniversary. I never opened the letters, but I never threw them away either. I just kept them all in an old box. 10 years later, in February, no letter arrived. I figured she had finally moved on. But that night, at a charity gala, an old family friend brought a woman over to introduce us. "Lucas, I'd like you to meet someone. This is President Miller, a truly formidable force in the business world." Olivia cut him off. "Actually, we've already met. We know each other quite well." "Oh," our mutual friend said, surprised. Olivia smiled, raising her champagne flute in my direction. "Mr. Harrison," she said. "We meet again." She was wearing a deep purple evening gown, the exact same style she had worn that night at my graduation. For a moment, I was lost in the memory. If only things could have stayed as they were when we first met.